What is going on, guys? They call me MP. Welcome to another video on the channel today. Today's video, I wanted to do a review of those two exotic weapons that were available in the Ghost Recon closed beta. Before we start, I do want to recommend one of my overview videos for exotic weapons in Ghost Recon, so I'll link that in the description and put an annotation on screen at the end of this video so you guys can check that video out as well. So the weapons we're discussing today are the his and her exotic AK-47s. Those are the modified super high tier versions of the standard AK that we find in the game, and just like any other exotic available in Ghost Recon, just to recap here for a second, they are obtainable by defeating a boss in each province. So the bosses in question of Itaqua in the closed beta are Yuri and El Polito respectively. So simply complete the story missions and you'll find yourself with a bunch of exotics. Now I want to talk about exotics in general for a minute before we get into the specifics of their statistics, because they are the first two that we get, and I don't think a lot of you guys understand how exotics are expected to work in this game, because I don't think a lot of you guys may understand how Ghost Recon works. Now Ghost Recon isn't the Division. Again, we've said it a million times, it's not an RPG, so skill building, tankiness, toughness, skill power, all that damage, all that stuff is really not that important in Ghost Recon. You can go through Ghost Recon without applying a single skill point because it is a shooter first and open world action game first. You can get through the entire game without acquiring a single exotic if you decide to go that route, and on Ghost mode you could use a standard AK-47 and beat the content if you're good enough, if you pay attention enough. So I disagree with you guys wholeheartedly, some of you guys that have stated that the exotics are going to break the game. That's entirely not true because they are not required for gameplay. I don't really see them as being an asset to endgame content as much as I actually see them as a reward system for Ghost Recon progression. So each have their own statistics that give in one area and also take in another, and that's very important. Not to mention the physical flair they bring to the table. If anything, I think this is the most that they do, so they can't be customized whatsoever. No attachments can be changed, no barrels, no magazine adjustments, none of that. You get what you get. That's how the exotic is, and my his and hers AK-47 is going to be exactly the same as your his and hers AK-47. So with all that being said, I want to talk about how these weapons differ from standard AKs, how useful they are, and I guess why you would plan to use them. So starting off with the his AK-47, which I thought was going to be my personal favorite, but we're going to talk about the alternative here in a second. But aesthetically, it looks pretty similar to the standard AK. It's got the standard barrel, it's got the stock muzzle, the stock buttstock, all that stuff that we are aware of as a standard AK-47. It looks pretty much the same. The twist here is something that everybody is going to notice immediately as soon as you get this assault rifle, is that it comes equipped with a different sight. The POSP sight allows players to toggle between a 4x and a 5x magnification level, which is great when you combine that with a swappable full auto or semi-automatic trigger. So technically it is an assault rifle at the end of the day, but for some reason the developers wanted to give you guys a sniper version of the AK-47. Now of course it can be used in full auto, and you can go to third person mode and shoot without directly zooming in with this thing, so that's what I would recommend for close quarters combat. But again, the scope opens up a wider range of possibilities for you guys, so in first person mode I would go for those long range shots. Now when compared to the standard AK-47, you're going to notice that this thing does in fact do more damage. Because it's intended for some sniper use, I don't really see a surprise there, being it's more accurate than the standard AK, and it also has a little bit more noise reduction. Now the AK-47 and the exotic are actually on the same level as far as penetration and range go. I'm a little surprised by that. I would have expected the sniper to be a little bit more modified, but again, this only proves that this weapon is not that much stronger than its predecessor. It's really not that much of a difference. The AK-47 itself, as shown by the green on the game, it actually outperforms this version of the exotic as far as handling and rate of fire goes. So we're gonna move on to my fan favorite. I know it is pink. We're gonna get over that right now. It is pink, and I'm sorry that breaks your immersion, but that's how the exotic is. Unfortunately, again, you cannot customize the camo or the attachments. This is how it is. This is how it looks, but damn does this thing pack a punch. You're gonna notice a few subtle differences as opposed to the standard AK-47, as well as the his version of the AK-47. We have equipped with iron sights here, no really standard POSP sight. There's actually a folded buttstock at the end of this weapon, which is kind of cool. We also have a stock muzzle and a standard barrel, so nothing really too different here between this and the standard AK, but I think the most iconic feature here is the 80 round magazine. Now this thing is actually a monster when you have 80 rounds to put down range, especially when you're coming against enemy vehicles. I can't tell you guys enough how much I've used this thing against Unidad troops, and it even took down a few Apaches. If we're gonna break down some of the stats between these two weapons, if you're gonna compare it to the standard AK-47, the hers exotic weapon really doesn't shine in that many areas. It only actually has more damage and more handling than the standard AK. The standard AK is more accurate, has a higher rate of fire, has more noise reduction, and you're going to see that penetration and range again are the same between the two weapons. So making a comparison between these two exotic weapons, when you should use one over the other, you're going to notice that they both have the same exact damage. And that's really surprising, being that I took down more helicopters with her AK-47 as opposed to his, but that's only because it also has a little bit more handling for those steady shots on the helicopters themselves, and of course that 80-round magazine. So you're gonna notice that every other statistic here is exactly the same, and I mean really exactly the same. Range, rate of fire, penetration, it's all equal across the board. His AK-47 excels at accuracy and noise reduction because again it's supposed to be used as a sniper, but these are situational weapons for situational purposes, and whether you should use one or the other is honestly your playstyle. It is absolutely your call. So if you want to take your AK-47, put it on single shot and snipe across the map, go right ahead. You could absolutely do that. Just keep in mind you can't put a sight on that damn thing. And the same goes for the other side of the coin. If you want to take his AK-47, put it on full auto and try to burst down weapons like a true assault rifle should, go right ahead. The game gives you the choice and the flexibility to use the weapons in any way you want, in a way that's not mandatory. It is because of this reason that I don't see many metas forming because of these exotics. I don't think they're game breaking, and I don't think they're game changing. I think they enhance gameplay just a little bit, add a little bit more flair to the game, and diversify the weapons for some progression for players that want a little bit more. On a complete side note, as far as damage numbers are concerned, I wish they gave us some numbers on the physical statistics themselves just for some comparison purposes. In the gameplay itself, I was running on recruit or veteran, I forget which one, and I didn't notice too much of a difference, if a difference was there at all, between how many bullets it took to take down somebody on recruit as opposed to veteran, all the way up the scale. So keep that in mind. The difficulty really doesn't have that much impact on the damage that you do, at least right now. So thank you guys so much for watching. I have a playlist again that will pop up on screen as well as in the description. Check out all the Ghost Recon content. As more exotic weapons are released, I will review them. I'm planning on doing some more for the open beta, so be excited for that. Thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next video.